we get to the gas station. He says, ma'am, just go put your gas in the car. I want to see you get it in your car. And then I want to see you park off to the side, okay? He's very thorough. Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't get his name and number, makes me mad. And so I go to the gas station, and now everything has calmed down. All the emergency's over with. Now, here comes the floodgates again. Wah! And I didn't cry, I was just like hyperly talking fast, and the poor clerk behind the counter is probably going, oh, you know, it's like, oh, what? And they didn't talk, just stared at me, and I'm talking, I don't want coffee because I'm already like on drugs or something. It feels like it because I'm like, oh my God, what's happening to me? So these chemical peptides I'm creating. Oh my God, what? So I got chocolate milk. I didn't want pop, I'll get some chocolate milk. And so then I said, can you direct me to a place to stay for the night? He says, not in this town, you have to go about 8 miles that way. I said, okay. And so I take off, and I see Max sitting, I'm like, oh, goody, goody, goody. And he wasn't kidding, it was Hotel Alley. I get to pick and choose. I said, this one looks good, and I can't remember where I was staying, but I looked up, and the town that I was in was Ripley's. Believe it or not. And not only did I find myself on this journey quest, but I also have to make sure that I do remember it is a journey, and I got there. And here's the kicker. Because I changed my reality in minutes, ask me how long it took me.
How long did it take you to change your reality?
From the time that I got to squeamish of crying and upset and all that, and to a hotel, 20 minutes. It felt like forever. It felt like 3 or 4 hours went by. And when I'm looking at it, I'm going, did I just fold time? How did 20 minutes just happen when it felt like so? You know what, I'm not going to question it. Thank you, that's all I'm going to say. And then I even got a discount on the room because it was after 1, and I'm not a smoker, but the room had smoking in it. Didn't matter. I got a heck of a discount, and so I was all good all around. One thing about what happens when you're in the spiritual space is it runs off in tangents, and because it's so, like I said, juicy gems and stories. So, but spirit never fails. It goes right back to going full circle when it can. And what's happening is that we had to ask the question. So what does a listener should expect from us? Well, we're 2 soul coaches that listen with listening to the energies, listening to how you create your world, listening to how you create your reality, listening to what needs to be healed, learned, and unlearned. And that's what we call a soul general reading. If you have a direct question that's in your head, remember that will interfere because you have an expectation and you won't be living in expectancy. Again, like I said, you'll miss everything that's being said. So if you have a direct question, please ask. And if the variables are lined up where you can see the next step, we'll give it. But if it's not lined up, then it'll be in limbo because you're in a growing process or you're repeating a hellish process, which with the hellish process we can tell you, and then if there's certain growth pattern we can explain it too. So sometimes you can't have a direct answer from us because we see so many variables that occur all the time that when we try to explain it to people, it almost doesn't feel like it makes any sense, but it does. It eventually does, and eventually, once you get used to how the words are repetitive and the definition of our words versus your definition, there's no right way or wrong way. It is understanding the soul's language, and it has specific words that is defined in a specific way.
Also, we don't predict the future. We can look and see what has been going on in your life in the past as far as the programs you're doing, and that to some degree kind of indicates what may happen, but we do not predict the future because of power of suggestion. And we've both had psychic readings where they say, oh, by this time, da 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 da, and that's the power of suggestion. That doesn't happen, and then, or does happen, I don't know. But we don't predict the future, and what that does, it also takes away your freedom, your free will. You always have the power of choice in your life, and so we're not going to sit there and say this is going to happen because of this, 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 and this, because it's your life.
But it's not how we're trained either.
Right.
One of the things to talk about that is in a story for me is that Spirit says, oh, I want you to learn something. So this psychic comes up to me and tells me that I'm going to fight with my husband. It's going to be about over the mother-in-law, and then I'm going to leave him and go live in a shack with my 2 kids. And Spirit says, take it lightly with a grain of salt because it's going to be correct, but it'll be the variation, the degree of how extreme you're going to see it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I let it go to the wayside, put it on the shelf. And one day I'm standing out there with my kids and freezing my butt off because of the rain and the snow. I says, that's it. I want a school shed built, or bus, bus.
a shelter for
when
you
you're
to
waiting
wait
for
with
the
your
bus.
kids for the school bus.
Exactly.
It's popular here in Michigan because guess what? It snows. Snows in the winter.
And it gets very cold. And so I had that built, and you know, and my father-in-law, awesome man, he's passed away, but he had created it for us. And so then one day I'm standing in the kitchen and I hear, wait for it, and I'm like, oh, that means I gotta pay attention. So I'm listening, and I kept carrying this heavy basket and some other stuff, and I had to work on, I think I was cooking supper or whatever. I had asked my husband to help me do something, and he goes, and he basically said, no, he can't do it. Then we hear from the basement, because our house it's one gigantic house, but it's connected, so we always had our privacy. All I hear is, Scott, Scott, which was his mother, I love her. And he dashed out that door, and it's like, I need you physically to take something or do something, get the pan off the burner or whatever. And I literally went livid, but I didn't thrash at him because I have to hold it inside. That was part of my program at the time. He comes back in, and I just said, I need to talk to you about something. He's like, uh-oh, here we go again. This is when we really had not really defined a relationship based on ourselves, but just with group conscious hell about what relationships are supposed to be. So I said to him, okay, this is what's going on. How come you do this? And he says he has to defend himself. He takes it personal, and he gets mad. And so the next day, I still hasn't talked to him. Well, I got the kids out on the bus, and I'm sitting in the shed, or that little bus house, and I'm sitting there, and I hear, oh, how do you like your prediction? I said, what? Look, you're in a shack, a shabby shack with your kids. And I started busting out laughing. The exact thing that she pulled from the future of what was going to happen, but she was telling me based on the fact she hated her mother-in-law, and they fought over, and that's why her first husband and her split. So she took her experience, and even though she was taking her files and sharing it, she was thinking, oh, all women are supposed to hate mother-in-laws. I love my mother-in-law. And so I had a version, but such on a different form of scale of what she was telling me, because I didn't take it and run with it and go, oh my God, when's it going to happen? I let it unfold, and it was just so funny that I realized that the reason that my husband and I fought was because it was part of the future plan, but it just was how we're going to relate to each other. I said, okay, we're done with that. I don't need to create that way anymore. So, you know, it depends on how much you want to put faith, belief into that. So we're almost coming out of time. I can't believe that. That's funny. And so we got like 6 minutes left, and did you enjoy your first show?
Yeah.
I did too. I love it. So how about we go and we get a card for what viewers are for this weekend? What can they expect of this weekend? And I don't want to say expect. What are you going to do? Live in expectancy. What can you have the expectancy of something happening?
Do you know what's interesting? I found something on Facebook in my news feed that said, oh, your day is going to be blessed in every way. Do you know, that was just an awesome thing to read, because then what I did was I looked, the situations that unfolded that day, I looked and saw, wait, how is this going to be a blessing? How is this situation?
This negative situation would be a blessing.
Exactly, but it wasn't even looking at the negative, it was just life. What is
good
life
job.
going to be a blessing? And so then that's when we found out we had the second show. I had to work with people in my congregation. It went smoother than we anticipated, and then other couple exciting things happened, and it was just, so we're talking about what can you look forward to? It's
okay,
not
so the two energies, the negative and the positive, that work together in tandem, yin and yang, working in tandem to give you a great life. When Spirit told you to just look for the blessings, you trained yourself not to look through the hell. You just, oh, okay, and then you were looking for the blessings, and you just found them all over the place.
It was like a treasure hunt.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so from the deck of Colette Baron Reed, the Enchanted Map, it says, there is an obstacle to your inquiry. So whatever you're asking, it's an obstacle. This is not the time to move forward. They're telling you to wait a while. Be patient, and a way around the mountain will be revealed. Pushing forward isn't your highest good. Don't try to climb too high to grasp the prize that seems to be out of the reach, because it is for now. If you exceed your limits, you will find yourself tumbling down, and you'll get hurt. Remain open to new possibilities rather than stubbornly forging ahead. The second card that was on top of that is that they can create your obstacles. It's what you call your loves. Sometimes we take our manners, our belief systems, our morals, our values that no longer serve us is stuck there, and it can interfere with it. Or it's about divine timing. But in this case, because of the second card, just says, notice how your upbringing sometimes can influence the way you define your day. Okay, Jen.
So I got from the Ascended Masters deck, I got crystals, but what they wanted to focus on was the particular Ascended Master, which is, I'm going to say Epona, but is the fairy queen goddess who oversees and protects horses. Temples were built in her honor during Roman and Celtic eras where horses were essential to everyday life. Epona is also a protector of the environment and nature spirits, and you can call upon her for any kind of, for help of any kind involving horses, or to help you commune with nature, fairies, crystals, or the environment. And it's also, then I decided to pull another card which says water. So drink more water.
Okay, so as we start to wind this down real quick, we want to remind you that if you want to discover who we are, because Sepia Radio is putting and adding new stuff, we have taken our information and we're going to apply it. Hopefully today I'll be able to get it up, in which will explain who are we, what are we doing. And we have a ton of videos out there, and again, we'll set up a little segment. Just go to mwreveal.com and it'll show you all the things we want to tell you about us, and we'll grow with this. So now we're going to say thank you for all of the time, and we're really looking forward to growing with one another. And I'm so happy that we had this opportunity, and we can hopefully develop relationships with people that will help us grow into the area of our next state of who we are. So
yes, this is just a great opportunity. Thank you for all the people out there listening, the people who are going to listen in the archives. And if you want to see how a new venture can go with humor, listen to today's episode.